Max is Maxim, right? Maxim?
Just Max. Just
Max. It's my nephew's name. It's my nephew's name, Max.
Oh. Well, he
lives in Israel.
when I was born, they had Makhluf. That's the Hebrew name. So
What's that?
Makhluf,
Mahluf.
named after. They say when they replaced the name of grandpa, I said, okay, well, I didn't complain. I was a baby.
You were what?
Whenever you're ready.
So today is the 14th. Hold on. Today is the 14th of
October
2018. We're in Los Angeles, California, right? What neighborhood, what area are we in Los Angeles?
Van Nuys.
Huh?
Van Nuys.
And we are at the house of Max
Max Barchichat.
Barsheshat. Max, please tell me when and where you were born.
I was born in Casablanca. At that time, it was called French Morocco. August 31st, 1929.
August 31st,
1929.
1929, which means that today you are 89 years old.
89, a little bit over 89.
A little bit over 89. Okay, a little bit over 89. And we are in your home, and we are going to talk about. Hold on a second. We are going to. Hold on. Sorry about that. We are going to talk about your experiences in the War of Independence, volunteering for Mahalo. But before we get to that, I'd like to understand who you are, your background, your family's background. Why don't you tell me about what kind of house you grew up in and who your parents were?
What kind of what?
Tell me about what kind of house you grew up in and who your parents were.
I grew up in a small house, of course. In those days, we were very poor in Casablanca with my mom and my grandma and my brother and my uncle, because my mom and dad divorced when I was 4.5 years old.
Okay.
Something that was unusual in Morocco, unheard of. And she raised us, the two of us.
Her name?
Sol, S-O-L.
Sol.
And the two of us.
And your brother's older or younger than you?
Younger. He passed away a few years ago in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And she made sure that we go to school, because it was very hard to get into school, education. It was called Alliance Israélite Universelle, which was all over the place. Thank God we got in, we learned, we got educated, French education. They didn't teach Hebrew in those days because all they knew was French. History of France, Morocco, and all that stuff, whatever it is. And when I was right after my bar mitzvah, 13, 14 something happened. It was World War II because at that time France was occupied by the Germans.
Vichy.
I'm sorry?
Vichy.
Yeah, Vichy government. And they were trying to impose all those laws to former French colonies. And November 15, 1948, they had signs all over the cities. Attention, November 15.
Not 48.
42, I'm sorry, 42, yeah, sorry. 15 November, attention, 15 November 42, that was a date that the Germans would have taken over the government of Morocco. They had a census of the population, how many Jews were there, how many families. We were destined for the one-way trip to Auschwitz, whatever. And November 8th, thank God the Marines, US Marines landed in Casablanca, what they call Operation Torch. Boom, 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 little fighting for 3 or 4 days. November 11th, by coincidence, happened to be 11, Armistice Day. The fighting was over. So we got on the street, we see the American GIs and all that stuff. And we were so happy to see them. And of course, we started to see American movies, and I started to learn English. And slowly but surely, at 16, 17, we had people coming from Israel, shlichim, I think why don't you go to Israel? And so we listened to them. We ganged up a group of like 6 or 7 of my friends.
Did you guys belong to a club or something, or?
Well, no, living next door to each other, in next street, like from here to the neighborhood, the same neighborhood. And we used to go to school together, go to movies, go dancing and everything. So one day we decided, why don't we go to Israel? So to go to Israel, there was no transport or anything. There was not legal. You had to go through clandestine areas. You had to take the train from Casablanca to a city called Oujda at the border for Morocco and Algeria. By train, if the police doesn't catch you, you're lucky. From there, on foot at night to the city, one city called Marnia in Algeria. Once you're in Algeria, you're considered French. You don't have to worry about anything. Walking all night through the fields, and with the irony, or 21 of us, the irony was 3 Arabs leading the way. One up front, one in the middle, one in the back with a donkey, just in case we get out. All night walking, no talking, no sneezing, no cigarettes, no nothing, because the highway patrol was across the street. So we got to the city of Marnia. A few days later, they put us on a train to Oran, which is Algeria. Then from there to Algiers. Algiers, of course, there's the place called Bab el Wad. Bab el Wad? Yeah, I think so. Where they gang up all the people going to Israel. And we wait and wait. I met some friends over there. Then to Marseille, France.
Took a boat to Marseille?
Yeah, by plane.
By plane.
We were crammed like a sardines in a plane. We got to Marseille. We go to the place, the DP camp, which is displaced person, called Grand Arenas in Marseille, where all the thousands of people come in, immigrant to go to Israel, go there, at the south of France. So we're there. They start training you with wooden rifles, teach you a couple of words in Hebrew, this and that, and the food was. Everything was bad. Everything was lousy, but we sustained the experience. And after maybe 2 weeks, they said, "Well, shipment, the transport is ready for you guys." So they put us on a fishing trawler, not a Queen Mary, or something like that. A fishing trawler, slept in bins, 5 deep, maybe 400 people all together. The smell of the fish, smell of the people. Excuse my French. Food was very, very scarce, very rationed. Water was 1 glass of water per person a day. Those who smoked, they get a few cigarettes. Anyway, it was stormy weather and all that stuff. It took us from Marseille to arrive to Haifa 14 days. Not 14 hours like you do now by El Al, but 14 days. And as soon as we get closer to the border, we see Haifa closer and closer. Everything behind you was left out. You forgot everything. You start sending the Tikva. We raised the Israeli flag, and everybody was so happy. They greeted us nice. Finally, real food, hot tea, cookies, and stuff like that. And from there, they separate people, separate the groups. You this on bus number 11, so on. And my truck, with my friends, went to army to Bet Lid.
Okay, hold on a second. I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to Morocco.
Uh-huh.
Before, from the Germans come to Casablanca in what, 40, 40, 41?
42.
42. For a very brief time. But what can you tell me about Jews growing up? What can you tell me about your childhood in Casablanca? About being a Jew? Did you deal with anti-Semitism? Did you...
Frankly, it was one of the only Arab countries that we left at peace with the Arabs. We lived very close with them. Once in a while, they had skirmishes. You know, the French were in control.
Right.
And c'est diviser et contrôler. That's what they say in French. They try to create friction between Jews and Arabs, and here they come to split us, supposedly to do peace. But in general, we had a beautiful life with the Arabs. It's strange because from the king of Morocco, from his grandparents, the Alawite dynasty, from the very first king, he instructed his son and so on and so on, don't neglect the Jewish citizen. And since then, every king that comes in, accedes to the throne does exactly what his parents or grandparents told him, to help the Jews and protect them and all that.
To respect them.
So we had practically no problems with them.
No problems.
No, like I say, once in a while you have skill.
Yes, but it wasn't like the Jews who lived in Poland or the Jews.
Oh no. In fact, like I said, they took census of the population, how many Jews, and irony, the people who taking the census, they come to the house and say, Madam Cohen, we need to know how many people. What she asks, what for? He says, we're going to give you ration cards, so you get more food. So they lie. They say, instead of having 3 kids, I have 6 children, and so on and so on. And in the end, the 250,000 Jews in Morocco grew up to over 400,000.
On paper.
But yeah, on paper.
And do you remember when the Germans came?
Well, the Germans did not come.
Do you remember when they came, though?
The Germans did not come.
They did not come.
No, they had people getting ready, getting the place in civilian clothes. But the soldiers themselves, nothing. Like I say, November 15, 1942, there was a date where they're supposed to take over Morocco. Fortunately, the Marines landed November 8, and so on.
And that was it.
So we were very, very lucky.
Now you talked about the shlichim that came to Morocco.
Yeah.
They were from the Haganah?
We have no idea.
No idea.
They just come, they talk to you in French, in Arabic, because we spoke everybody.
And their job was to convince you to make aliyah.
Yeah, to go.
Now, when you, the whole journey, now what does your mother think about you going to Israel?
You're going to laugh at this, because I never told her I was going. Me and my friends, we decided to go, and I told some of my friends, you go to my mom in a couple of weeks, you tell her he went to whatever city, he'll call you, he'll talk to you, send you a letter later. She heard from me like 3 months later, or 2 months later when we were in Algiers.
How long did it take you to get from Morocco to Israel altogether?
I would say at least 3 months.
3 months. Wow.
Clandestine, sneaking behind the scenes, behind the French police, the gendarme. Even in Marseille, we had to have a token to give to the police. How many people? Then they let you go, and they turn those tokens to the Jewish organizations. They get money for it. And the Arabs, the same thing. The Arabs was leading the way on foot. Everybody was bribed. It was nothing. Nobody did anything for anything.
Nobody did anything for free.
No, everybody was paid.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
No. And frankly, the organization did very, very well. They organized their conditions were not exactly what you want.
Did you have a passport?
I'm sorry?
Did you have a passport when you left Morocco?
No, no passport, no nothing.
And tell me, when you get to Marseille, you're in a DP camp. Do you see for the first time Holocaust survivors?
Some of them were probably there. Honestly,
separated?
To be frank, in Morocco, we never heard of the Holocaust.
Right.
We had no idea what was going on in Europe.
Yeah.
We knew a little bit about the war, the Germans, the British, and so on, but we had no idea that the Holocaust was happening in Europe. They kept us to the side, and nobody knew.
And you say that in Marseille they started to train you with wooden sticks.
Yeah, wooden rifle, the same Rovechiki.
You're going to fight.
Yeah.
You're not going there for a holiday.
Oh no. They show you, they teach you how to climb the ropes and how to run, do things in Hebrew, a few words in Hebrew. What to expect when you get there. So when we arrived in Israel, we had a little bit more, an idea what we expect.
Do you remember roughly when you leave Morocco? Like what year, what date?
In probably June 48, something like that, right after the declaration of the independence, June, July, something like that.
Okay, so when Israel becomes a state, when Israel is declared a state in Morocco.
All right, right after the...
Was there any celebrations or was it hush-hush?
Well, it was a little bit hush-hush because the French were still in control.
And also the Muslims are
At that time, the Muslims didn't care much, except the Arabs in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But the Arabs in Morocco didn't care much for anything. At least they didn't bother us.
Right. And when you get... Do you remember the name of the boat that you came from Marseille to Israel? Do you remember the name of the boat?
It's San Antonio, maybe, something like that.
I'm going to bring you that book. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Shwaye.
I don't think it says the boat here.
It doesn't say the boat. Do you have glasses? Should I get you your glasses?
Yeah, my glasses.
Where are they? On the table?
On the table, please, yeah.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you. 1721, Algeria, French colony. 2 weeks miserable conditions. France with temporary lodging in a POW camp, Grand Arenas. I think it was called the San Antonio, I'm not sure. Something, 2 words, Spanish or something, or Panamanian. Because at that time, during the war, Panama was neutral. So they used the Panamanian flag. If they're against the British, there is the whatever. They kind of all kinds of tactics. Bit lead.
Okay, so it's not there.
No.
But put the book right here because we're going to get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. Okay. So, hold on, let me just fix the camera.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Here. So, you talk about the journey, the voyage from Marseille to Haifa.
To Haifa.
And it's very tough.
Well, when they took us in the afternoon, it's a long ride to a small city called harbor called La Ciotat in France. And when we got there, they say, you see this big liner like a Queen Mary light up and all of them. That's the ship that's going to take you to Israel.
Not bad.
Beautiful. So in the meantime, why don't you guys hide in here until the French police leaves? Then we'll wake you up. And so we were so tired, everybody went to sleep. And all of a sudden we hear tack, 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 the diesel engines of the ship. We get out, nothing but you and the good Lord and a fishing trawler. We start screaming with this, now we want to go back. And here comes a big guy from the Haganah, big husky guy with an open shirt, 2 guns here. All he has to say was 2 words in Hebrew, Mayesh. Everybody shut up. And he told us, well, they told you that ship, I know that it's an old tactic, but don't worry, this fishing trawler, whatever casket you call it, will take you to Israel. We did it before, we'll do it again. It's not going to be right away.
And this guy was Haganah.
And it took like at least 14 days.
14 days. Now you finally get to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You're with some guys from Morocco that you came with. Your guys were
Right.
still together, right? About 6 or 7 of you, right?
Right.
And they take you to Betlid.
Betlid. Not all of us.
Okay.
Not all of us. They were checking on a boat. They were asking questions.
Right.
Do you know how to manipulate a gun, a rifle, this and that? Do you hunt? Some people used to do hunting. Some people even lied about it.
Of course.
And unfortunately, some of my friends that came with me on that fishing trawler, they took them straight to Latrun, where they had the biggest fight ever. Back and forth, back and forth. They never came back. They never saw Israel. And some of us,
Boat right to the battle.
yeah, some of us, when they took us to Betlid, and the next day, the captain, at a roll call in the morning, we stand there. He talks to us in Hebrew. I had no idea what he was saying. He brought somebody who spoke a little bit French, a little bit Hebrew. Even his French was not as good as it was as good as my German, which I didn't know. And slowly, we started training.
In Betlid.
Yeah, and first thing they showed us is how how to do the rifle. So they showed us how to do the rifle,
How to take it apart.
how to put the bullets in there, and every time they need whatever they need fighting, get on a truck, let's go. Even the orders, all the pkudot were in Hebrew.
And you have no idea.
We had no idea.
No idea.
All we know is that the first guy jumps, we jump with him.
Where is the first time that you see action?
I think it was near the Egyptian border, near Fallujah, I believe. I believe that area was Gamal Abdel Nasser and Muhammad Naguib. They were surrounded by the Israeli forces. And I think it's called Fallujah. They took us over there, and we make sure that nobody escapes and all that. Some people come running and shoot at you. You have to shoot back, and thank God that's why I'm still here. Either him or me. And that particular rifle, the German rifle, was very, very, very good.
Was this after Israel received the weapons from Czechoslovakia?
Well, clandestine, yeah. In a book, it tells you that clandestine, slowly coming in.
Now, what unit are you a part of? What unit do they put you in?
I was in a Golani.
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 What Gdud? What brigade?
The first one was Gdud 103, behind Ber Yaakov. Some people said there was. I said, don't tell me there was not there. I was there, Ber Yaakov, near Tzrifin, Sarafat. After that, Akko. Yeah. 13. Then Mahane Julis, I think it's Gdud 21. Athlete, Mahane Filon. Every time we read the Hallel at the temple, they say Rosh Pina. I say Rosh Pina. Every time I hear that, I remember the base where I was in Rosh Pina, Mahane Filon, near Tzfat, upstairs. Where else? Athlete, yeah, and Julis. In the middle of his, not Naharia, Naharia, the middle of Israel by the seashore. We were there on the base.
Netanya.
Not close to, halfway between Haifa and Tel Aviv.
Zichron Yaakov.
Huh?
Magan Michael. Caesarea.
No, either Netanya or not Naharia.
Naharia is up north.
No, this is Netanya. So this is Netanya.
Okay, Netanya.
Yeah, we were to officer school, Bet Sefer Ktsinim.
You went to officers course.
We went there to train. At that time, the discipline was so lax. The base commander would tell you, today, no, you say there's a pkuda, you have to do it. And we didn't finish. And of course, every time they needed manpower, every place, up on a truck, we spent 15 days, I have pictures there with the sword, 15 days from the Negev to the Sinai on foot, send up to here in 120, 125 heat. The canteen, the water was so hot you can make coffee with it, and we were not allowed to drink it. and they give you the example why you shouldn't drink too much water when it's hot. You get a bullet and something and dangerous. And we run after at that time they called them mistanenim, the infiltrators, terrorists. They come, so we go to a junction where three routes come into one route. We stand there at the middle, at the corner where they have to meet. And we meet them, we stop them, we do a little shooting here and there. One of the weapons they gave me one time is a Sten. The worst weapon you want to have. 9 times out of 10 it didn't work. So we're on patrol there, and the officer was not too far from me, and I say grenade, Rimon?
Grenade.
I took out the grenade, I said, Rimon. He said, no, don't. I already had taken the clip. He said, hang on to it. I was young, hang on to it. The thing and because the stand didn't work, he took care of the guy. He crawled to me. Where's the shit? He twisted my hand and grabbed it, and he said something in Hebrew to tell the guys. He tossed us somewhere else. The whole thing blew up, and we had a little friction near the Syrian border.
Near the Syrian border, yeah.
Yam Hula, the swamps.
The Hula.
Swamps.
Yeah.
There's a picture there. They were shooting at us from up in the Golan.
Uh-huh.
They wouldn't let us do the work. Mosquitoes were this big. And finally, the IDF had maybe 3 or 4 good planes. They went there, boom, 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 boom. They liquidated the Syrian. They never bothered us again.
So you were really everywhere.
Every place.
You were in the north. You were in the south.
Every place they needed shooting.
And most people in your Gdud, are they Israelis or are they French? Are they American?
Mostly foreigners. Few Israelis, but mostly foreigners.
You were with Mahalo.
Yeah. Well, at that time there was no Mahalo. We didn't exist until we came back. I came back here to Los Angeles. Then I heard about the organization called Mahal, Mitnadvei Chutz La'aretz. The Israelis called us Mishugaim Chutz La'aretz. And we started organizing. I started with them as a simple guy. Then I went up to secretary, vice president, and president. And some of the people you mentioned still with us, and I know them. And I know the guys who were pilots who helped the Israeli Air Force, Lou Leonard and Rudy Ogarten, Flint, many guys, very wonderful guys. And I've been with them since at least 34 years. We started the organization called Mahal. Some people confuse us with the Likud.
Yeah, exactly.
I say, no, we have nothing to do with, we don't know anything politics. We're too dumb to be in politics. It's called this and that. And in fact, in Tel Aviv, I think it's Rehov Ben Yehuda, El Al building. I think
Shalom Aleichem in Ben Yehuda.
Where the movie theater used to be in a corner, in the center. Mugrabi, yeah. I remember when they had sandbags in front of it. I think in the building, I don't know if he's still here, is he still there? The head of the Mahalo World Organization, Smokey Simon. Hopefully when I go, I want to stop by and say hello to him. And on Rehov Yarkon in Tel Aviv, we used to have the Moadon Chayalim.
Did you ever go there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Next to it, not far from there, was the U.S. Embassy. Next to it. Now it's moved out.
So tell me about the Mahal Club on Hayarkon Street.
Well, at that time we didn't have Mahal in Rehov Yarkon. Okay. Like I said, we're all soldiers. We had no idea what it is. We're not volunteers. So when we left Israel, we came back home. I went back to Casablanca because Morocco was still under French control. I went back there. I met my future wife at Casablanca before I went to Israel, 48. We were teenagers at the tailor shop. And I came back. She was beautiful. And we decided to get married. And we got married. Thank God we have 4 children. She's the granddaughter of Rav Chaim Pinto. She grew up with him, with Rav Chaim Pinto, in Casablanca.
Did you grow up in a religious home? Was your home religious?
At that time, yeah.
Did you
Outside, to be honest, outside we ate ham. We had with teenagers, we didn't care much about that stuff.
Now,
but at home, everything was kosher.
I want to get back to the war of '48. Can you tell me about a specific event that happened in the war that affected you very much?
The only thing we knew is when the U.S. Marines were landing. Before that?
No. I'm talking about 1948 in Israel.
Oh, 48. Oh, in Israel.
Yes.
What about it?
The question that I have is there any specific event that happened in the War of Independence in 1948 that still sticks with you very strongly?
Well, of course, one of the first remember the very beautiful that I remember is the first Yom Ha'atzmaut in Ramat Gan with the Prime Minister Ben Gurion, and at that time the Chief of Staff was Igal Yadin. Before him was Yaakov Dori. No discipline, and Igal Yadin started the discipline. And the first Independence Day, Yom Ha'atzmaut, the parade and all that, I don't remember what I ate this morning, but I can remember the hero who received the first Medal of Honor, Medal of Bravery, whatever. Gvura, Ota Gvura. Rav Samal Aryeh Markovich. I have no idea why I remember that name. It was beautiful, beautiful ceremony, the parade.
Were you still in uniform then? Were you still in
yeah, in uniform, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of uniform, for 4 months at least, we didn't have any uniforms.
Right.
Civilian clothes, everything civilian, with a booklet that shows you're a soldier.
Right.
With your pinkas.
Pinkas Chevy.
Because you hitchhike or something, they ask you, are you a Chayal? Ken? Otherwise, you don't. Then after a while, we started receiving uniforms from the United States. That's Mahani Filo on Rospina.
Okay, I'm going to take a picture of this after. Yeah. Put that there. Yeah.
We received khaki uniforms. We looked like soldiers.
Finally.
At that time, yeah, finally. Yeah. Still not enough weapons. But gradually we started getting a little bit more weapons. Planes, there was maybe 2 or 3 put together from Czechoslovakia. In fact, the book over there is called the Angels in the Sky. Mm-hmm. And it tells about all the heroes, all the
fighter pilots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you communicate with your fellow soldiers?
Well, we knew in Morocco we knew how to read Hebrew because we read the prayers and all that, but we didn't understand what he was reading. But the fact that we knew half of it, we knew how to read, we learned faster. As you read, you go faster, and sometimes they have courses in the afternoon in Hebrew. They teach this. So I'm not trying to brag, but I'm very good at languages.
Okay.
I learn fast. Okay. I speak 5 languages.
Now, what about? I mean, where do you live?
We lived in army bases. All the time in army bases. No comfort, no nothing. Just piece of wood with a mattress on it. No lights. We had cans. We put margarine with the ptil over there. We light it up. That's the light we had. The first then from Betli they took us to Tel Edvinsky, which is Achshav Tel HaShomer, which is a hospital and army base. Yeah. The first night or second night, we had a visit from Egyptian airplanes coming to bomb the place. We turned off all the lights and all that. We had nothing to fight with. We were just sitting there in the dark.
Like ducks.
And one of our guys, Lou Leonard, he was a pilot in the Marines, the U.S. Marines. He was one who defended Tel Aviv. He was one of the first defenders of Tel Aviv. He passed away not too long ago.
He was a pilot? He was a fighter pilot?
He was a pilot. His name was Lou Leonard, Lenart. He was one of the few. Then, like the one I mentioned, Rudy O'Garten, and a few of these guys. Like I said, they didn't have any planes. Whatever they had, they put together with glue. Some of them blew up on a spot. Some of the guys, the plane exploded right in front of them. They died. They didn't even fly for the Air Force. And a lot of mishaps, a lot of things, but the courage and the Baruch Hashem, everything worked out all right. And against 5-6 Arab armies attacking the same day.
You got to Israel in July 48?
Something in July, August, beginning of August, something like that. And they didn't ask you questions right away, like I said, from Haifa straight to the army. They needed manpower. Whether you like it or not, I had no idea. You don't speak Hebrew, you don't do anything. You're in a foreign land. People tell you what to do.
Did you expect it to be like that?
No.
What did you expect?
We had no idea.
No idea.
We had no idea where we were going. Except for Marseille, they were telling us, so for what? Well, in case you go there, in case you have to fight, here's how they do the rifle and this and that. But it was a piece of wood. But getting there, what to do, I had no idea. None of us had any idea what to expect. Maybe some.
You said that you came with 5, 6, or 7 guys from Morocco.
Yeah.
Did they survive?
Well, like I say, some of them they took them straight to Latrun. They never came back. I remember them. So maybe there was like 3 of us left, spread, me and somebody else went with Beit Lead. One guy sent him somewhere, I don't know where. And the old folks that came with us, the families and all that, Kibbutz Aleph, Kibbutz Bet, and so on and so on and so on. And with children and all that. And very, very well organized, very well, but we had no idea what to expect. And thank God we managed. And the Syrian border, like I said, the Syrian border was the toughest.
Was it? Yeah.
The officers always tell you, don't ever get caught by the Syrian soldiers. You're better off dead. Shoot first, then ask questions later. I guess they knew what, because they were very, very mean. In fact, women at that time also were fighting on the battlefield. You ask many Israelis today, except the grandparents, the great-grandparents, what happened in 48? Milchemet HaShechrur. Okay, what happened in Milchemet HaShechrur? Well, we won the war. Yeah, we won the war, yes, but what? At that time, the population was 600,000 in Israel. 1% of the population, 6,000 people, died in Milchemet HaShechrur. A lot of people don't know that. I'm not trying to show off as a historian. It's just, you learn.
Fact.
You learn, it's fact. And some of them were women, and the women who were caught by the Syrians, the atrocities they were committed against them, I can describe them. And that's why they tell you, don't get caught by the Syrians. And the Golan Heights was still in Syrian hands.
Yeah.
Syrian hands. We had the kibbutzim there. The closest kibbutz where my brother was, I think it was called Lehavot Bashan, I believe.
Sure, yeah.
I believe.
Right on the foot of the Golan.
Right.
Lehavot Bashan. Yeah, I know exactly what
And then Kiryat Shmone later on.
Uh-huh. So your brother came with you, or he came after?
No, he came. No, he didn't come with me in 48.
Okay.
No, he came in 56.
Okay.
Because when I went back and we got married, we went to Israel, I said, let's go see what happens. I took a lot of money with me. I was working with the Corps of Engineers in Casablanca. I was making good money. And we were in 56. As soon as we got there, my son was born in Rambam Hospital. War broke out, Mifta Sinai. I had to go to Gaza Strip for 6 weeks. I had no idea if I'm going back to see him. I can't even remember what he looked like. He was still a baby. Right away, I had no idea I was coming back to see him, if I was coming back. Thank God it worked out. And 56, then I started spending the money and all that. So I decided it's not working. No jobs, no work, no nothing.
Very hard times in Israel. Then.
Oh yes.
The 50s.
We lived in Ma'abara, in Tivon, Ma'abara Tivon. Today Tivon is a beautiful city.
Not then.
And money was going out, and I decided, well, you know, I told my wife, let's go do some. So we went to Paris. We'll travel to Paris for 5 years. And from Paris, in Casablanca, my boss vouched for me to come here, but he disappeared. He went to Iran. And when I was in Paris, somebody told me, you know, there's an organization called HIAS. They take care of refugees, they send you up. So I went there and reopened my file. And to make a long story short, they helped us come here, come to the United States. Our first home was Louisville, Kentucky, for a beautiful place, beautiful people, hospitality, and incredible. They took good care of us. After 4 years, because we came here to Los Angeles, and here we are in Los Angeles.
And what was your profession? Your profession?
I started being a tailor.
Uh-huh.
Then when I came here, I worked on a liquor company, because I worked in the PX, what they call Shechem in the Air Force. I was the manager of the PX. In fact, if you go to Casablanca today, the airport that you land, there used to be one of the air bases I worked at. No, sir. I started from a clerk, then I ended up being assistant manager of the base. That's why I was making good money. And when I came to Los Angeles, I was working for a toy company. So I started in toys. I was a toy salesman for 18 years for the company. And when the company closed, I started to do on my own. For my house, I had maybe 600-700 cases of toys here. I did everything for 18 years. So about 35 years toy salesman. Thank God he paid for the house, he paid for the kids going to school and cars. And
to have a normal life.
Yeah.
And
of course, I went back to 48 to 56 until 1992. I went to Israel to visit. Everything has changed, except the harbor, Haifa. You can't change the harbor. 92, 93, and 98, we went for the 50th anniversary. Mm-hmm. Whoever people were left, mechanics, whoever left, like 600-700 out of 3,500 volunteers. Now, Mahalo was 3,500 volunteers from every country in the world. And maybe 300 of them were not Jewish. Mm-hmm. And some of them, unfortunately, died in battle for the defense of Israel. And what was I saying?
I'm asking you a question about a volunteer who was not Jewish. I heard his name come up a few times. Jesse Slade.
Jesse Slade. I think he was from South Africa, I believe.
He was a Navajo Indian.
Navajo Indian. Most likely his name in there.
From America.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Americans went, you know.
He wasn't Jewish. He was a Navajo Indian.
Yeah. Wow.
Have you ever heard the name?
I've heard the name, but I didn't read the whole story there.
Yeah. Look and see if he's in this book. I want you to look at your book, and I want you to try and find some passages for me that I would like for you to read.
Like I say, I showed those pictures to the Israeli, all the consuls of Israel that came here. Not just in June, the consul of Israel gave us a reception and the consulate.
Can you read this page for me? Just this page.
Yeah.
The last page. Hold on. Wait a sec.
Now a new chapter in our life had begun. After a warm reception by the Haifa port authorities, which included teas, cookies, orange juice, a true treat considering what we had been surviving on, we were assigned bus or truck numbers to board to our new home, in parentheses, of freedom. We were trucked to Bet Lid Army Base in a downpour resembling the flood of Noah's days, then on to Telitvinsky Army Base, now Tel HaShomer, where things started getting serious whether we liked it or not. We received 2 blankets and a straw mattress, and then were directed to barracks where 8 to 10 wooden planks on 2 iron horse legs were waiting for new occupants. And we spoke only when spoken to. Army life began by a welcome from a couple of Egyptian planes on a bombing mission. That's what I said. But as I recall, we had no fighter aircraft of our own and no anti-aircraft guns at the time. This was, for most of us, our first taste of war, bittersweet indeed. The next day, a few of us, not all, were issued rifles, a German regular issue weapon of the Wehrmacht with the German eagle and a much dreaded swastika on the center. Talk about irony. A Jew defending himself with a weapon made to destroy his very being. For ammunition, we were issued 5 bullets in 1 clip. No kidding. In addition, and we will never know why, we were all issued 2 steel helmets. Why 2, I don't know. We were then assigned to Hativa Golani, where we learned to be real infantry soldiers and daily exercises, basic training and shooting practice, often with blanks, due to the lack of ammunition. We were constantly on the move, whether in Galilee or in the Negev, always as close to enemy borders as possible. We made incursions into enemy territory, chasing Fidayin, fighting off infiltrators, always going where manpower was needed. We had many close calls with the enemy, and in the end, and after much struggle, we gained the upper hand. Altogether, I was assigned to 5 different army bases, one of them in a tank division, Mahane Natan in Beersheba, not knowing where I will be sent next. At first, discipline was very lax during the command of Rav Aluf and Chief of Staff Yaakov Dori. When his successor, Yigal Yadin, came to replace him, it started to look and feel like an army. Still, the camaraderie between a soldier and an officer, no matter what rank, really felt like a family team. One learns a lot during an army stint, attaining adulthood way before age 21. We did our share the best way we could to protect the homeland and the people of Israel. Personally, I came to Israel from thousands of miles away. How I got there and why remains engraved in my memory forever. I hope peace will come to our people so that there will be no more needs for weapons, for death and dying, just handshakes. Thank you, Israel, for giving me the opportunity to help you become an independent nation and to provide freedom for many thousands of others after me and for their grandchildren after them. Yeah, I didn't have to revise that. I saw it.
No, yeah, no,
yeah,
for sure. So this book is...
That's the story of all the Machalniks. He dedicated to me, Jason Fenton. He passed away not too long ago.
The name is so very familiar.
Like I said, we heard about the exhibit, Mahal exhibit in...
He was British, wasn't he British?
Yeah, he was British, yeah. He was one of the youngest, 16 or 17. He lied about his age.
Okay, I interviewed his daughters in Minneapolis.
Yeah. He did what?
I interviewed his daughters in Minneapolis.
Oh, my goodness, which one?
Both of them. That's where his
Tamar,
name is from.
Tamar, I think.
Now I know. Okay. Now I know Fenton, because I interviewed him.
He was a brain. He was very. Me and him were so close.
Really?
Oh yeah, so close.
And
we did everything together. We traveled.
I'm looking for this guy. Here he is, Jesse Slade.
Yeah.
Jesse Tex Slade of the 4th Troop. Hold on a second.
It's amazing stories there. One of them lives in Westlake. I think it's Bill. I forgot his last name.
It says here, there was even a volunteer from the Navajo Indian Nation.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Jesse Tex Slade, and he was a member of my unit. He used to go into each battle with the Navajo charm bracelet, a cross and a mezuzah worn across his neck. And he would say, you just can't be too careful with all of them bombs. Okay, at least one of those 3. Jesse.
Oh yes, the stories there. One of the guys, I think he lives in Westlake. He participated in a landing of Marines in Casablanca.
Okay.
He told me about it. And one of them used to be in the British Army. He used to steal trucks and a lot of stuff and bring it to Sahel Army bases.
Okay.
What the Navajo Indians, during the war,
they were the code breakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used in Indian communications to so that the Germans will not know what's going on.
Yeah.
Same thing in 6-Day War. I have a book here called Swift Sword. Yeah. The commander, I forgot who was the commander at that time.
Of the army?
Huh?
The commander of what?
Of the Israeli army.
Rabin.
No, Yadin.
Rabin.
Yitzhak Rabin, yeah.
Rabin was the chief of staff.
Him and the commander of the units in the desert, they knew a very, very old slang from Yugoslavia. Very old. And that's how they communicated, because the Russians were listening and the Americans were listening. By the time they find out what's going on, the war was over. That's what I remember these things, like when you mentioned the Indian.
Jesse Tex Slade.
Even today, I'm sure I was reading in one of the newspapers that the Israeli army ready for another fight. I hope there's no fight. If you saw war, you don't want anything. Nobody wins at war.
Tell me about the pin that you have on your shirt, on your jacket. The pin.
Well, this represents the War of Independence, 48. I have another one for 56. It tells, it says the flag, blue and white, and the middle red represents blood, first time. The one on Sinai, I have the Sinai yellow, 2 yellow, that means the campaign of the desert, and 2 reds, that means twice the blood was shed, and so on. And thank God we made it. And I have with me, let's see if I can get it out. And I have my good luck charm here.
Can you tell me what that is?
Can you see it?
Yeah, but can you tell me what it is?
Yeah, it's the Star of David with the Tzahal, Tzava Agana Israel.
Hold on.
You can see it. It's written on it. Tzava Agana Israel with the emblem of officers and the Star of David. I've had it for more than a generation. I wouldn't part from it.
Max, thank you for the interview.
Thank you. We have, I belong to a Sephardic congregation here, and one time the rabbi asked certificates for all the guys who served in within the Israeli army, signed by me. I said, next time you want me to do something, or somebody comes in here